Peace, family. Hello. Happy Saturday. Happy Sabbath. Grand Rising. Joyous Rising. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good night, depending upon where you're hailing from. Check in, family, and please let us know where you are checking in from. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I am checking in from Jacksonville, Florida, the northern part of Florida, the great state of Florida. We call it the Free State. I'm so happy to see you all here today. This afternoon, we are going to be reviewing the book Stolen Identity. But in case I didn't tell you what today was, today is June the 22nd, 2024. The time is about 4:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I think it's time for us to talk about a very, very serious matter, and that is how the United States Incorporated was actually a group of mafia, mobsters, and gangsters who has taken over our republic, our lawful government, and has gotten rid of a whole lot of people that were actually trying to do the right thing to restore the freedoms of we the people. So we know that we're moving from darkness to light, from dark to light. Yes. So we're moving from a time and a period of where we were living in complete obscurity, slavery, pain, misery, and all type of things. But now we're moving into an era of light. And right before we get this major announcement of what has been going on behind the scenes, we want to talk about a very important family that many of you know about, and that's none other than the Kennedy family. But before we get into the Kennedy family and the book Stolen Identity and how John Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr. did all he could to restore our freedoms, and that upset some people behind the scenes who didn't like what he was doing. So these mobsters and gangsters did everything they could to destroy the Kennedy family, to steal from their trust and their wealth, their bloodline, and to further enslave us. So it's a very serious matter, family. And I'm just really upset by the book, but I'm so glad it's finally out. So before we go on, check in. Who is this checking in? Remain gracious and exercise humility as we ascend to our natural state of being. Thank you, ML Miller. Absolutely. Dark to light on Patriots, he says, or she says. That's right. Oh, yes. Scat Pack gets the book on tomorrow. Can't wait to read it. You will really enjoy this book. I'm going to tell you why in a few minutes. Southeast Ohio's in the house. Absolutely. Good to see you. Ellen says, hi there, lovely Dr. Kia Pruitt. How beautiful you look here today. Thank you. Love you so much and what you bring to us here in the world with all the hot content that you give to us. Thank you so much. Mwah. It's my great pleasure. Houston, Texas is in the house. It's good to see you, Texas. Love my hair. Thank you, Dizzy Izzy. I appreciate it so much. She says, great info. Tabby says, excuse me, you put an earlier post today that was backdated from 2002, and you inserted these two women to say about our currency, sovereign citizens. So everything else you posted live. Tabby, no, I didn't say anything about sovereign citizens. Sovereign, being a sovereign and a sovereign citizen is completely two different things. When you're sovereign, that means that you're exercising your rights and your liberties as a person that has reign, rule, and control over your life. A citizen is a slave, and that's attached to United States Incorporated. You cannot be a sovereign citizen. That's an oxymoron. You're either a sovereign, free, or you're a citizen, a slave. So in the video that I put up earlier today, it was a recorded video from 2022. So I appreciate you bringing that out. Yes, it was a backdated video. These two women, one was Judge Anna Von Reitz, who is a sovereign judge. Now, a lot of people don't know that you can be a judge. You can be whatever you desire to be when you operate in your sovereignty and your freedom, and you're not a part of the United States Incorporated. But people don't know how to research it and to become sovereign. They don't know how to research and become a judge. That's why people try to say she's not a real judge. When they're saying she's not a real judge, that means she's not attached to the United States Incorporated, which she's not. So what that judge stated in that video that I put up was that we put forward the gold to pay off the debt. in the United States of America, and the debt had already been paid in America and in Australia. The reason I put that video up is because I told everybody, our audience here, that I would put it up, because a lot of things that I've been saying through the years from 2014 all the way up to today has come into fruition. So I put up that video to show people that I've been saying this, that we had to go, and gold had already been put forward to pay off the debt. And I used Judge Anna Von Wright's testimony to support my claim when I made that announcement in 2022. Well, I'm just republishing that video because a lot of people didn't see it, since I've had many YouTube channels taken down. I've had videos kind of bothered with and not being able to upload on Rumble. So I've been censored so much that I wanted to bring that information out to you all. And also to let you know that by the time they tell you they've done something, it's already been done. The goal had been put forward at least in 2022 when I made that announcement on October 24, 2022. So you can go to my YouTube channel, look in the video section, and you will see gold has been put forward to pay off the debt or something like that, or the United States dollar is already asset backed, because we knew that. But the news didn't come out to the mainstream media. A lot of people don't know what's going on in the world unless the mainstream media talks about it. For example, I announced in 2022 that the Brunson brother case had already been decided and that the 2020 elections had already been overturned. When I made that video, the video went viral. And then, of course, YouTube censored me. So we're still now talking about the elections being overturned. And people are just now in 2024 saying, oh, I think it's been overturned secretly behind the scenes. And I'm saying, yes, there are a lot of things that I've been talking about since, 2014, but also in 2022. So I made a lot of announcements. I made an announcement in 2022 that Saudi Arabia would be the center of the whole United States dollar being destroyed. And it's not until June of 2024 that people are saying, oh my God, Saudi Arabia joined BRICS. Oh my God, the contract and the agreement between the United States Incorporated and Saudi Arabia will not be renewed. And I think that's fantastic that people see that. It made the news in 2024, but I said that in 2022, and I uploaded that video as well, just to let you see that by the time they tell you this information, darlings, it's already been done. It's already been decided. So let's get back into what we're talking about, and that is the Kennedy family. Thank you, Tabby. I appreciate that. I love you. I love you more. Sister Angela from Southeastern Michigan is in the house. Hello. Hi, Tilly. I love your videos. I feel my spirit rise after watching you. Thank you. I'm so excited about that. MJ Carter is here from Northeastern Kentucky. That's where I raised my children. I actually raised them in Louisville, Kentucky, and that's where I lived for many years. Blessings, Dr. Kia from California. Blessings to you too, Sister Sharon. You've missed me so much. Hi, C. Boozy. I'm here. I'm so glad you're back. Deborah says, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your very kind remark. My girl says, happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath to you. Gold is like oil. It never runs dry. Thank you, Curly. And we have oil right here in America, so we don't even need Saudi Arabia's oil, right? Excuse me. Scat Pack says, I took a picture of the document that they paid it off in Parkersburg, West Virginia, which is only miles from me. Thank you, Scat Pack. I love when there's some confirmation, and people can say I have evidence to some of the things we've been saying for a mighty long time, but they take their time, getting out this information, because there are some very dark entities behind the scenes who don't want us to know what's going on. So we're going to get into that when we talk about this book, Stolen Identity. Tabby says the gold coal company you give that you're involved with. Okay, the gold company you give that you're involved with. I'm just making sure. Do they help and change life converting? We'll have to talk about that another time. Right now, thank you so much, though. If I get a chance after the end of this, the gold company, I'll answer your question after we talk about this. Oh, thank you for sharing it. Yes, thank you for setting the record straight. Hambrook, California is in the house. Keep checking in, family. Hi, Ralph. So excited to hear what I have to tell you all. Hi, Tracy. Yes, I'm excited to talk about this. Anisha is in the house from Mississippi. Colorado is in the house. Hi, Sarah. You've evidence. Thank you, Ralph. I have evidence of the bankruptcy that Donald Trump signed for the United States Corporation. Yes, we saw those bankruptcy papers. So the United States Incorporated is bankrupt. And the United States, all those entities that are attached to it, including the Federal Reserve Central Banking System, which is the part of the United States Incorporated. Blessings to you too, Molly. She says, winter spirits from East Texas. So, family, let's talk about stolen identity. I had the opportunity to get in contact with John F. Kennedy Jr., John Fitzgerald. Is it Fitzgerald? Yes, John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. His name was changed to David Keith Quigley. I have followed him on TikTok for about a year, and I would send him messages asking him, can I interview you, please? And I never got an answer. I'm sure he's inundated with questions. As I looked at his TikTok page, I noticed that a lot of people were being very disrespectful and rude to him. So I can understand why he didn't get right back with me, if he even saw the messages. However, one day I was talking to Gold Star Mother Susan Price. A Gold Star mother is a person who lost a son or a daughter in the military. So because she lost her son, Aaron Michael Kenefick, many years ago, she became a Gold Star mother. She also, many of you have met her on my channel, but she also endorsed President Donald Trump, and he endorsed her as a Gold Star mother. I introduce her as the Gold Star mother of our soul family, or of the Patriot community, because we are good friends. We're very close. She has helped many people with their humanitarian projects. She has been an encourager. She gives us information about what's going on behind the scenes. She gives us some intel as being a military veteran herself, and as being a mother whose son was killed in the line of duty while he was actually working on the inside to help take down the deep state part of the government. And because he knew so much, they unfortunately ended her son, Aaron Michael Kenefick's life. But Gold Star Mother Susan Price and I have a very good friend, mutual friend by the name of Ron Anthony. Ron Anthony has his own podcast. And if you're listening, Ron, can you please put the link to your podcast in the comment section? Ron Anthony had the great pleasure of interviewing John Fitzgerald Kennedy about a month or two ago. And so I saw that in my Twitter feed that he had interviewed John F. Kennedy Jr. So one day when Gold Star Mother Susan Price and I were on the phone, because we talk very often, I said, Ron, did you indeed interview JFK Jr.? And he said, yes, I did. So I said, I would love to interview him. I've been following him for over a year, for about a year or, in some months. And his story is very, very compelling. Please connect us. And he did. So John F. Kennedy Jr. will be on our channel sometime very, very soon, in a very near future. We're going to talk this week, and then we're going to do the interview. But before that, I wanted to read his book, and I read it in totality. It's such a good book. You want to read it I read it in 2 days. I probably could have read it in one day, but I was doing some other things, some other work, and taking care of the grandbabies. But I read the book almost straight through. It's a very good book. I'm going to talk about that. But first, let me read a quote from his father. His quote from John F. Kennedy Sr. It says, there is a job in this country to enslave every woman, man, and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose this plot. John F. Kennedy. So this book here, Stolen Identity, says it's about unveiling the real John Kennedy Jr. The John Kennedy Jr. that people have come to know is known as John John. They call him John John because the deep state likes to play on words and likes to play on your emotions. He's a double, which is why they call him John John. Remember, he created the magazine George because his name is allegedly George. John John is notably or reportedly the one that we know with the dark hair and olive complexion, a body double of John F. Kennedy Jr. He is allegedly the son of Aristotle Onassis and Aristotle Onassis's mistress. So if you know the story, John F. Kennedy was married to Jacqueline Kennedy. When John F. Kennedy was assassinated, his wife then married Aristotle Onassis. As you read the book, you come to find out that she did marry him. She did love him. She was also with him for protection. Aristotle Onassis had a mistress, as many billionaires do. He is an oil billionaire. Well, he had a mistress, and allegedly John was his son, the dark-haired guy, the olive complexion guy, the body double. Okay, so when John F. Kennedy Jr. was 9 years old, he was replaced with a body double. Now, let me read the back of this book to give you a little more context of what the book is about. John Kennedy Jr. is the son of former United States President John F. Kennedy. At the age of 9, he was placed in the Federal Witness Protection Program and replaced by the man the world knew as John F. K. Jr. Stolen Identity is the shocking true story of John F. Kennedy Jr., who was replaced at 9 by a body double nicknamed by the underworld as John, nicknamed by the underworld being the mafia that runs the government. While his replacement lived in a life of privilege and luxury, the true heir of the Kennedy legacy struggled with adversity, poverty, and profound trauma. This gripping autobiography challenges the very foundation of readers' perceptions of the American government and the fate of the Kennedy family. After years of living in obscurity, the real Kennedy, John Kennedy Jr., is ready to unravel the long concealed truths about himself and his iconic family. So I read the book just to give me some context about John F. Kennedy Jr.'s life. And let me say it is riveting. It is heartbreaking. It is disturbing. It is crippling. It is gripping. It is sobering, because the book tells the life of what goes on in the underworld. Now, John F. Kennedy Jr., or David Quigley, as his name became known, was taken away from his family after his father was assassinated. Not immediately after, he and his mother escaped and lived with Aristotle Onassis, his stepfather. But Aristotle Onassis was also eventually killed. Okay. And John F. Kennedy Jr. then went into a witness protection program. But in the witness protection program, a lot of horrible things happened to him because there were double agents there. There were agents that were there that were trying to protect him, but the same agents that will protect you are the ones that will do things to hold you for ransom. And they are the ones that were constantly after his life. So I'm not going to tell you all the details of the book, but let's talk about the major components of the book. For example, the setting. The setting is in California for the most part. However, John F. Kennedy Jr. was taken to many parts of the whole world. He was taken all over the world as he was moving through witness protection in the witness protection program. Also, while he was traveling through the world, he suffered MK Ultra programming. One of the most notable types of MK Ultra program was called Project or Operation Artichoke. MK Ultra programming is a mind controlling programming that people high up in the CIA and government do to these children and to people to shatter their psychological well-being. They'll do it through anal penetration. They'll do it through abuse, through drugs, giving them a handful of cocktails. They'll do it through any type of heinous abuse, beatings, whippings, and forcing them to do certain things while under the influence. And JFK Jr. called it being under. So the setting again is in California, different parts of California, but also Greece and all over the world, actually. The plot of the story is about how JF Kennedy Jr. was taken from his family, put into witness protection program, and constantly being on the run for his life, constantly not knowing who he could trust, constantly being bribed, kidnapped, abused, assaulted, forced to do certain things, traumatized, being a part of different traumatic programs, and a mind control. I don't even know what to call it. abuse. So the plot is him living a life from the time he was about 9 years old all the way up until his age where he is now. I think he was born in 1960, so he's probably somewhere in his late to middle 50s, 60s or something like that. So the whole story, you get to read about trauma, 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 trauma. And it's so hard to read because unless you have heard about these stories or you've been exposed to that type of lifestyle, it seems unimaginable. It seems unbelievable. He's constantly on the run. He's given to a family called the Quigleys who mistreat him, but then try to do things that are kind of good to him. When you understand, some of you who are psychologists or you have a psychological background, if you understand the cycle of abuse, especially when you talk about domestic violence, then you know that there's a time when you're completely traumatized, abused, beaten, mistreated, you suffer financial abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, all types, sexual abuse, all types of abuse. And the same abusers who mistreat you will then feed you or provide shelter for you, or send you flowers, or tell you they kind of like you or they love you. So you go through this complete cycle that is very, very confusing. Now imagine going through that cycle where this is your family and you're going through all these different things, sometimes kind of being treated nicely, but then being utterly abused. And you have so much trauma that you cannot get out and they follow you. So I'm going to leave that part of how he was always identifiable. They might not have known his name, but they could always trace him. I'm going to leave that part of the book out so you can read it for yourself and see how they could always track him. So he could never get away. Even when his mom tried to take him, to vacations or whatever, they always were able to track him. So the plot is about him being in that situation and always trying to figure out how I can get out of this because I'm John F. Kennedy Jr. Damn it. Like, this is my legacy. I'm an heir and they're abusing me and people don't seem to know who I am. And the ones that do know who I am are constantly taking from me and mistreating me. So he's always trying to figure out, why am I going through this? How do I get out of it? And the heinous things that he encounters, family, is something that's unimaginable. So that's the plot. How am I going to get out of this? Who am I really? Because he goes through periods where he doesn't even know. And am I ever going to escape alive? You got to read this book. Okay. And the climax, I would say, the climax is when the protagonist, who is John F. Kennedy Jr., decides or makes a decision, or usually it's towards the end of the book, but it's the crescendo. So the climax is, I would say, when JFK Jr. decides for himself, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here no matter what it takes. And he just starts in so many ways making decisions that could have totally ended his life. And he quotes this one quote to himself that gives him hope and that gives him the nerve and the energy and the courage to get out of dark places, like being inside of a freezer or being closed in a dark room with no food and no water for days, weeks, months, while under drug-induced state and forced to do something while you're in that state. But he says something to himself over and over throughout the book that gives him the strength and the courage to say, no more. If I have to die, I'm going to die. If I have to totally lose everything, I don't have anything else to lose, then that's so be it. I'm going to just do whatever I have to do to get free. So you'll start to see, after being abused, he starts fighting back, which he always tried to fight back. But as he gets the inner strength and the inner girth to do something about it, he starts fighting back. And it's you or me. And that is the climax. The conclusion, I would say, is when he finally gets to the point where he makes that decision and he actually arises from obscurity. So that was the setting, the plot, the climax, and the conclusion. Who are the characters? John F. Kennedy Jr. is the major character, but you also have characters like the Quigley family, the mother and the father that took care of him, into whose care he lived with them, and he was just told, this is your new family, you got a new sister, you got a new brother. But there are also other characters, like one particular gentleman who was a part of the witness protection program, who showed up a lot. I'm not going to tell you his name, but this particular gentleman, whenever JFK Jr. would go through certain traumas and then, maybe be left for dead, this particular character would show up out of nowhere and just like get rid of everybody who was trying to hurt him. And this particular character also kind of like came in and out of his life, showing him different things, like how to survive different attempts, how to spot out certain characters, how to sniff out certain things, how to work your way through life, even though you are heavily tracked. So this particular character followed him. He's another protagonist that supported him, helped him, but he never told his real name. He never told who he was. We just kind of assume he's some type of agent of some sort, but we don't know. That is a very important character in the book. When you read it, you're going to be so grateful that you got to know this gentleman. Also, there is a group of people that you would never imagine who finally helps JFK Jr. Escape from situations, and who protects him and who helps him come out of the darkness, and who right now are supporting him and encouraging him and are a part of his life to make sure he's safe. You will never guess who this group of people are, because mainstream media and our entertainment system will cast a light on certain people as if they're like completely bad people, they're miscreants, they are outlaws. But this group of people, they initiated him just to make sure he was really who he said he was, and initiated him into the group, but they could not let him wear the bandana or the badge of honor saying he's a part of that group, because then that will single him out and the deep state will come to get him. So JFK Jr., again, is an heir to the Kennedy throne. But what happened was the Kennedy bloodline suffered a major catastrophe where they tried to get rid of the whole Kennedy family because of John F. Kennedy's mantra and his resolve to liberate the people. So what did JFK, the father, say again? I'm gonna read it exactly like he said it. There's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high office, I intend to expose this plot. Now, many presidents before him knew about this plot to enslave everybody, but they may not have had the courage to come out and say it. Whereas John F. Kennedy lost his life and was able to get those words out to the public. And that's probably why many different communities actually love John F. Kennedy, because he told the truth about what was going on with the mafia that controlled the government and the central banking system, and how they wanted to enslave us, not only through laws, but also through the financial system. So I know it sounds kind of like very hard to believe, but the book goes on to tell about how the government is a group of gangsters, mafias that will kill out all whole bloodlines, that will do trauma-based programming, not only to presidents and to their children, but sell their children into trafficking and child sex trafficking. And it also talks about how everybody you hear about in entertainment, in the government, and politics, in a financial system, they all work together. These people are interconnected. And when you're reading the story, you're going to hear names like you're going to hear about and John F. Kennedy Jr. Just to highlight a couple things in the book, he talks about the Obamas. He knows them, the Clintons, who else? The Queen of England, her sons, Princess Diana, who are some of the people in this book. President Trump. Wait till you hear what he says about President Trump. Prince Harry, Prince William, who else? And many other people, as well as some of these obscure people that they talk about in mainstream media that you think came out of nowhere and it becomes big news. For example, let's see if I could give you one example. What was this guy's name? Let me see if I can find his name. So there was this guy who killed his wife, and I can't find it in here. There was a guy, what was the guy? Scott Peterson. You know how these actors, these people make mainstream media news, and all of a sudden you don't know, you never heard these people like Scott Peterson, and oh, he killed, I think his wife's name was Lacey Peterson, and how, we got to figure out how it happened, and it's on the news 24 hours a day. None of us know these people, right? Well, when you read the book, you'll come to find out that people like Scott Peterson and all these people who end up dead or killing each other, and it makes mainstream media news, they're all interconnected. They're all part of the mafia. Okay. He's met people like that and came to find out, what? That's who's on the news. He's like, oh, I know that person. But he takes you on a story, on through his life, exposing you to a lot of people that you see in front of you in a camera. And these people that you think are benevolent, these people that you think are just so wonderful, they're such good actors and actresses, and they can sing like Rick James. You come to find out that they're not just entertainers. They're not just people in front of the camera, but they are part of the mafia. Some on the good side, some on the bad side. Some of them are playing as double agents, but they're all related. This mafia will take out your children if you don't do what they say. And they will force you to get rid of and annihilate your own family by holding guns to your head and putting you in a medically induced state or a drug induced state. Then they will tape it, okay, and make you watch stuff like that over and over again. You hear about Guantanamo Bay. He's already seen Guantanamo Bay. He's been there. He's seen the gross things that happen there. And they'll talk about waterboarding and, how if you take certain people who are prisoners of war, you might like shove water down their throat, pour water on their head and beat them on the head. No, this mafia that was in control of the United States government and governments all over the world would do heinous things that makes that look like child's play. And they start off by sexually assaulting you, raping you over and over and over again, trying to make you not only question your sexual identity, but breaking you. And if you've studied sexual assault like I have, because I was once a crisis counselor, then you know that when you go through the anus and the anal cavity, what happens is that is a portal. And so these entities are trying to enter that portal, and then it goes to your brain and it fractures your brain. The portal opens up different parts of your brain that causes you to have multiple identities. And the multiple identities are based on the psychological trauma from what you've experienced. And so you're trying to find a way to cope with it by developing different personalities. This is something he didn't talk about. This is something I know. So they're entering this portal and they're trying to get up to your pineal gland, and they're trying to fracture your psychology, fracture your mind. When they sexually assault you, then they can send you on missions. And in order for you to cope with a mission of going to assassinate somebody, your brain becomes fractured and you're no longer yourself. You're acting in a capacity of another being, another entity. So the reason why I'm bringing this out is because I read the book, but I've also heard stories about it. You all know that I am Arena Houston's very good friend. That's Whitney Houston's eldest daughter, who was taken away from her when Whitney was a teenager, because Whitney had gotten pregnant when she was a teenager. She was raped, sexually assaulted, and she had a daughter. They stole her, took her away, sold her to a family, but that family put her through a lot of ritualistic abuse, beat her, left her for dead, although she's still alive, took her children away from her. They did the same thing to her that they did to him. Sent lovers, and you think you're running into somebody that you just fall in love with. These mafia, gangster, bankster, evil, wicked, cruel, manipulative people send those people to you. And those people that you fall in love with, have children with, end up turning on you and try to take your life. So when Whitney's daughter, Rena, told me those type of stories, I was just flabbergasted. But now I got to see it now in writing. You're going to read about how they tried to keep him from reproducing so that his seed cannot receive his money. You're going to read about what they did to the finances that the Kennedy family had. You're going to read about whether or not there are any Kennedys still alive, because what they do is they unalive you and then they replace it with a body double. So it is riveting. It is troubling. It is heartbreaking. It is heart-wrenching. It is disturbing. So much so that even though the book was so good, I didn't want to put it down. There were times I had to take a break and just take a deep breath and actually call Ron, who interviewed him, and say, Ron, this is a lot. When I interview him, I pray to God that I'm able to hear his stories and not break down. So it's compelling. Yes, you need to get the book, whether you know this to be true or not, whether you think this is not the case. But I will tell you, when you look at John, the body double, he looks Greek. He's got dark hair and dark complexion, what they call olive complexion, and he doesn't look like his alleged father, John Kennedy. But if you go to John Fitzgerald Jr., the real JFK, and people would say allegedly, I happen to feel that the story is very compelling. But when you go to his TikTok, let me show you this here. You'll see he provides the proof that he is the original JFK Jr. Now, this is his story, and I'm going to treat the story as it's his narrative. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to tell you what he says. I am the messenger, okay? And it's up for each person to decide what they want to take in as being the real JFK Jr. or not. But this is him when he was a child. And the interesting thing about it is they allowed him to still play in different movie scenes. And he'll tell you about that on his TikTok channel. They allow him to play in different scenes. He also wrote songs for different writers, because when you're under MK Ultra programming, remember I talked about those fractured personalities. Sometimes you can sing, you can write songs, you can act, because you're acting as another character. Remember, Beyonce told us she had an alter ego. Where are those alter egos coming from? It's the programming from sexual abuse, the MK Ultra programming. It's from the things that they put in your body that send signals through your head. It's the things they put in your body so that you can hear certain voices. So he actually played in Hollywood certain scenes, and he talks to you about those on his TikTok channel and in his book. He also wrote some lyrics for some very prominent entertainers and singers. So on his TikTok channel, he is user number, I think it's user, let me see it, user 576-103-7610195. That's 576-103-7610195. I'm going to put that in the comments section for you right now, or you can just go to TikTok. Did I do this? Go to TikTok, family, and type in John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. and it'll come up. So let me see. Right here. And I want you to get the book and read it for yourself, because we're going to do the interview and I want you to have some context. I want you to have a background of what his story is, or who he is, what he went through, who the Quigleys are, what he went through with Aristotle. He had some very fond memories with his stepfather, Aristotle. And of course, they had to take him out because Aristotle was a billionaire, and they didn't want any traces of JFK Jr. because they wanted to take out everybody around him, because they never wanted him to come out. I don't know why the Most High or the good forces. I don't know why God. Now I don't want to say I don't know why. I don't know how God kept him alive. I know God is all powerful, but I just don't know how he lived through this. But it's almost as if he had to be safe and preserved for such a time as this. So that main character I told, and one of those main characters who followed him throughout his life and showed up at the right times to save him, and to, like right when he was about to be taken out, this character would show up. And this guy also took him through military training so that he could defend himself. And remember that I told you there's a group of people that protected him as well. So I don't know how they were able to save him and preserve him, but now he's here and he'll be able to tell his story. So let me get back to here. He shows you proof of, he talks about his ears here. This is what he looks like here. I want to get to one of these where he actually tells you who he is. I should have brought that up, but I showed, let me see if he shows us here.
You're the key, people. You are the key. I'm the key. Working together, it takes two keys. If you want to free us, take the chains off of us and free us from our government's bondage they have over us, share. Use me an example. Who am I? I'm John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. My father was the president. What they did to me and my loved ones, our own government, it's unspeakable, people. Share, share. They can't deny it. Let's take our country back, one share at a time. Peace.
So he often says, justice for me is justice for all of us. Justice for you is justice for me, because we're all in this war together. If I were to talk about the book from a writer's perspective, I would say, because I studied a lot in my lifetime, creative writing. I wanted to be a journalist, so I studied creative writing. I would say that the images from the book on words are very, very powerful. The writer that helps him write it was able to capture his experiences in words in such a way that it helps you it transports you to every single scene, and you experience the blood, the gore, you experience the abuse, you can smell what's going on, you can feel the energy in the environment, you can taste the foods, you can almost taste the poison. That's how well written this book is. It is phenomenal. So let me see if I can find one more video of him saying exactly who he is in a way that let's see, in a way that it resonates with you. He says it many times, but I can't find the right one. I've listened to almost all of these. I should say many of these. Let me see if he says it right here.
This man here was the greatest president we ever had. This man here, John F. Kennedy, my father. My identity had been stolen at the age of 10 years old. I wrote a book about it right here. You can see there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos of me as a child, hundreds of them. This is my ear as a child. This is my ear now, 60 years later. This is my ear as a child. This is the John Kennedy you knew, the whole world knew, my stepbrother, George, Aristotle Onassis' son. Aristotle Onassis was a Greek billionaire. It was a takeover from the mafia of the Kennedy family. This right here, my father. Any man who may be asked in this century what he did to make his life worthwhile. My life had been stolen. My career in Hollywood, stolen. I had a Hollywood career as a child. They gave me the name Richard Steele. Well, they stole that name from me. My military career had been stolen. My career as an artist had been stolen. My life had been stolen. What is my life worth? What is my life worth? I am the real John Kennedy Jr., and I am exposing the biggest murder crime ring this world has ever seen. It's called the United States government. Let's make change. 24 people. God bless you. I thank you for all your loves, your shares, your prayers, and your likes. Let's do it. Let's share. Let's repost. Let's get it out there, because they don't want you to know my story. Peace. This man here.
If you're interested in getting the book, family, let me show you the book where you can get it from. You can get it from Amazon. And I'll show you what it looks like here on Amazon. Right there. Stolen Identity, Unveiling the Real John Kennedy Jr. Paperback, written November the 3rd. It's less than $20. It's about $19.99. You can get the book in 2 days, or you can actually get it in 1 day. Wow. You can get it tomorrow if you order it today. It is a very easy read. It's a very good read, and I use good loosely because it's a traumatic book. But let me talk to you from a writer's perspective, what I think of this book. Whoever helped him wrote this book did a phenomenal job of capturing his experiences. First of all, that meant he did a phenomenal job of explaining them. Because he's been through so much trauma, trying to sit down to write a book would probably take a lot of energy, a lot of pain, reliving all that. And some of his memory, you know, is a little muddled. He can't remember certain periods of his life. So whoever wrote this book or helped him did a phenomenal job of working synergistically with him. When you are studying creative writing and you're learning how to write, you know that you're supposed to write on a 6th grade reading level so that anybody can read the book, whether they finish elementary school or not. So the book is written on a level that anybody can read it. It doesn't matter if you don't have a college degree. It doesn't matter if you don't understand big words. It is very understandable. So you're supposed to write a book at a 6th grade reading level. You're also supposed to use good adjectives, and adjectives explain or describes a noun. So it might say it was a very red, muddled, bloody shirt, you know, using adjectives in such a way that it's not just talking about a shirt, but it describes a shirt in such a way that you can really see it. So you use good descriptive adjectives to describe the noun. They had good adverbs. They use very powerful similes. A simile is when you use words like as or like to describe something to help the reader to understand exactly what you're experiencing. Like you can say, I was shut in the freezer that was as cold as the Atlantic Ocean on a wintry, dark night. As cold as the Atlantic Ocean in a wintry, dark night. So you see how that type of description helps you actually feel the cold. Or he hit me like a mother would hit a child who cursed her out in the middle of a store. So using words with as and like in such a way that you help describe the scene. You help the person that's reading get a feel for what is occurring. So using similes were like very powerful metaphors to help you see what exactly it was like, just kind of give you an example of what this experience may have felt like or seemed like or smelled like or what else, tasted like. What else if you're a good writer? If you're a good writer, you know not to make something, the chapters too long because you don't want to lose your audience. So the chapters are written in such a way that they have good titles, subtitles, and they're put in certain categories. So you're able to follow the story along without being distracted, without being bored, without being confused. So and he tells the story in such a way too that you feel like you're there from the beginning to the end, right along with him. You're actually experiencing all the things that he's experiencing. That is a powerful book. So whoever, first of all, for him to tell a story in such a way that you can feel it, see it, smell it, taste it is amazing. And secondly, to find a writer that can help you capture your experiences in words so that the reader actually goes through the emotions with you is also very, very powerful. So it's an excellent book. I would give it a 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, whatever the rating is. It is arguably and inarguably the most important, most powerful book I've ever read in my life, because it's not just about his story. It's about every single thing that we've been talking about for the last, 4, 5 years about how the deep state has enslaved humanity. It's so important because our parents loved John Kennedy, his father. Our parents loved the Kennedy family. They knew that they had a heart for the people, and they talked about them all the time. Now you have some context as to why, and you know that is true because there was a mafia that tried to destroy this man and did some heinous thing to his entire bloodline, and even did things to him so that if he tried to have any children or posterity behind him, they wanted to cripple him from that. So it's also important because he talks about how the royal family is entangled in all this. One part, there was one part of the book that made me laugh, and that was when he met he was talking to Prince William and Prince Harry, because we know he knows these people, right? Because they all grow up together. They all know each other, trust and believe that. And he asked them about their mother. And actually, he was asking, how's your mother? And they were asking him, do you think that they killed my mother? And so they were talking about that, Princess Diana. And then, you know, of course, they shared their thoughts. And then he asked them, well, what about Queen Elizabeth? And Prince William and Prince Harry said, they replaced that bitch 3 times. That was when they were kids. They said that they replaced that itch bay, that bitch, 3 times. So yes, every single aspect of that book is so important because you see how they actually work. These people that ran our government don't play games. They replace you, they kill you, they take out your bloodline, they steal your money, and they do things like they did to him, held him ransom, put him in a cage, and leave him there for days, weeks, and then send it to Jackie or Aristotle and say, we need $2 million or we need $5 million or whatever, after his father was killed. So another reason why this book is very important, because he talks about the president, his ideas on the presidential elections right now, his ideas on the Q movement, whether we believe it or not, or agree with it or not. It's always good to hear every side. He talks about the Clintons. He talks about President Donald Trump. And I'm going to ask him a question about that in my interview. So make sure you join in. We're going to do that very, very soon. He talks about people like, let me see who else he mentioned, like Denzel Washington. He knew his double, his replacement, John. He and John were actually, you know, they kind of grew up together, and he knew that was his replacement. How sick is that for the deep state to do that to him? So the deep state, the media, took a picture of him and John together, but they told him, you're going to go hang out with John to go to some type of event. And along the way, they picked up this black kid for a photo op because it would look good if there were kids together, Caucasian kids, with this so-called black kid, this obscure nobody kid. And he showed the picture. I should have, I don't think I wrote down which page that was on, but he showed the picture. And you think it's just some random kid that they picked up, some random black kid. They show him, John, and this random black kid together. And it was a photo op. It looks like they're having fun, right? And it was Denzel Washington. And he tells you how everybody else thought it was just some random kid, but they did this for a photo op to make, you know, just so you can see, oh, you know, black people, and, you know, have a good relationship, which the black people did. And these kids are just so happy. They play together. This group of boys just, you know, all dressed up, going somewhere. But in actuality, this was at the Palisades Amusement Park, May 5th, 1969. In actuality, they were put through a lot of trauma before they got there, took the picture, and traumatized afterwards. And so you're thinking, oh, what was that story they told us about Denzel and some of these other actors and actresses, how they just rose to fame out of nowhere? You know, these people just happen to be found by a certain person. No, they're all related. They're all involved in the mafia. Now, I'm going to leave it up to you to read the book to find out if Denzel is a good guy or a bad guy. And then when you think about good and bad, it's like you don't even know. Those words are even relative, because what if you started out good, but they take out your family? You know, what if you really have a good mind and heart and soul as a child, but then they abuse you so much and put you under, programming and drug you and put, you know, different things in your body and send different waves to you, and you're operating while you're under. It's crazy. And I'll conclude with this. We're going to keep talking about it when it comes to the book. A lot of those scenes that we see on television and we're thinking, wow, that sex scene seems really real, but it's just acting. Or that abusive scene seems really real, but they got technology, it's acting. Or that murder scene, oh my God, it was so devastating. It was it's so surreal, it couldn't be real. When you read this book, you'll find out that some of these people you see that's abused were actually abused. For example, there was a scene in the book where JFK Jr. was kidnapped and taken somewhere. Something happened to him, and when he woke up, he realized it was a scene of a movie and had no idea what was going on. And many people were watching the television screen or a film at the movies thinking, oh, that little random obscure kid that just got mistreated in the movie. Oh, wow, that was some great acting. When he came to, because he was under, he realized it was a movie scene. And then he tells you who was doing the abuse to him when he came to. These people are evil. They're wicked. They're sick. They're violent. And they must be stopped. And you and I can do our due diligence by not watching the movies, by not listening to the music, by not watching them on sports, by not participating. And it troubles you because you're like, wow, everything we've been shown and taught is one great big old lie. And this is why we have to operate in our sovereignty. We have to say, look, I have reign, rule, and control over my life. Sov means over. Reign, sovereignty, reign means rule, control, sovereignty, reign, rule, and control over your own life. Not wait on anybody to save us. Now, I am a conservative. I am a Trump supporter, the Trump that I think is the Trump. Now, whether he's the real Trump or not, we know there's many Trump. Just think about it. If there are many Trumps playing the Trump character now, how many have there been throughout our lifetime? He answers that question in the book. So I am a supporter of the conservatives. I am a supporter of us taking down the deep state. Having said that, I'm not waiting on anybody to save me. I'm doing what I can to make sure my food is healthy. I'm doing what I can to make sure I leave an inheritance for my posterity, being my future generations. I'm doing what I can to educate my own family. I'm doing what I can to raise the vibrations of the planet by inspiring and encouraging our soul family to create the most amazing, magnificent life that we desire and deserve. We cannot wait on the government. We support the military that's taking them down. We support the white hats. We are in alignment with all the Galactic Federation and all of the interterrestrial and extraterrestrial beings that are doing the work to help take down this nefarious government and these evil people that have enslaved us and control every segment of our society. But we're not waiting. And we're not going to sit on our laurels and our hands and say, oh, we're just going to wait till they do it for us. And that's why people get mad at independent journalists. They'll be like, you said it was going to happen a long time ago. I'm still paying taxes. I'm still forced to pay my taxes. No, you're not forced to pay your taxes. We're paying them voluntarily. Do you see what I'm saying? You're not forced to do certain things. There's a lot of things you're forced to do because we are agreeing. We have tacit agreements, what they call it. We're agreeing, tacit agreement. We're complicit in our own enslavement in some ways. Now there are different programs, things they put in place that you either agree or die. But what I'm saying is, stop doing it. Stop participating. Stop watching the movies. Stop going to the theme parks where they're raping and molesting, graping and molesting and abusing and trafficking children. Just stop. They won't be able to exist or make money. Stop listening to the music that's feeding these negative low vibrations to you, which is an industry made up of evil people who control these singers and people who were taken as children or groomed as children to sing evil, wicked lyrics to you. And they're being great abused program, going through MK Ultra and all type of things. Many of them are sex slaves, like Rihanna. We know this by now, right? Where they're not only singing in the music industry and they have these double personalities, or whatever they call it. I have an alter ego, but they're traumatized. They're under MK Ultra programming. They sing in front of the stage for you, and then they go off and they do secret missions for governments. And they're sex trafficked to different presidents. This is why we're living in a time where we're moving from darkness to light, where we're exposing all of this and we're deciding no more. We've had enough. We're done. So we don't have to participate. You can stop participating by just stopping. And imagine if we all said, I'm not paying these taxes anymore. The IRS actually came out in 2022 and told everybody, and I podcasted it then, don't pay your taxes, because we're trying to figure out how to deal with the COVID situation and how we gave up, how to record these stimulus checks. And despite that, of course, people kept paying because they were like, if I don't pay, then they will withdraw money from my account, or they'll, how evil these people are. But usually there's a way around things. You can write a letter and you can ask for it to be forgiven, or you can demand that the debt be forgiven. I told my son, who the IRS stole $10,000 away from him to pay off student loans, I said, you write a letter and you tell them to give you your money back because this is unlawful. And you tell them that we've been under a global pandemic and everybody is suffering economically. So you need your money back. And do you know, within 30 days, every single penny was restored? So what I'm telling you is we have to sometimes find a way to get around them, but also to be courageous enough to do it. Many other people, I said, write them a letter, demand your money back. Or if that doesn't seem like it's possible, then write a letter and ask them to hold off the debt. And keep doing it until we know for certain that the IRS has been taken down. We don't want to eat their poisonous foods. Let's learn how to grow it, our own food. Let's go to the farmers markets, the local markets. We don't want our children to be indoctrinated at the public school system. We're going to have to do this anyway. Educate your own. What happened before there was public education? You taught your kids whatever you knew. And if you didn't know anything, they helped you on the farm, or they helped you make shoes. They helped you sew. They helped you clean up around the house. They helped fix cars. Or you sent them to a church school that was in your community, or a community school that you and a group of people started. So what I'm saying is, yes, we can get away from this deep state. It's being taken down behind the scenes. I've been reporting on that over and over and over again. I've shown you articles. I've shown you videos. I've shown you proof of the United States Incorporated being bankrupt. I've shown you proof of the Federal Reserve being dissolved. I've shown you proof of states having and monitoring and regulating their own banks, and how state-sponsored banks are not a part of. They disbanded from the Federal Reserve central banking system. They have their own laws, their own rules, their own charter, and they can issue their own gold-backed currency. I showed you proof that over 46 states have now repealed or removed the state sales tax from precious metals, thus acknowledging precious metals as lawful money. I've shown you proof that 33 states have removed capital gains tax from precious metals, stating that that's unlawful to issue capital gain taxes. 33 states passed legislation to do so. I've shown you proof that BRICS was even starting and coalescing against the United States Incorporated in order to destroy the United States dollar. Before it even happened, I told you it's going to happen, and it's called Project Sandman. I told you years before it happened, and now we see the proof. So it is happening, but we can do something by refusing to participate. Because this government is wicked and is evil. And John F. Kennedy Jr. does a great, phenomenal job of bringing that to the light. Now he is living with somebody that's very close to him. I'll let you read that for yourself. And he's being heavily guarded and heavily protected because they will still try to come after him. However, he's alive now to tell his story. And I'm just here as a platform for him to be able to come and share more of his story with us. And I'm here as a voice to tell his story in ways maybe that's different from the way he could tell it, but from my perspective, from my eyes, having the experiences going through reading the book, also having talked to Rena Houston, who is Whitney Houston's eldest daughter. A lot of things that he went through, she had told me about in her life. I also had the distinct pleasure of meeting Nancy Pelosi's daughter-in-law, who had her children stolen from her because her father was a scientist that came up with healing modalities to cure certain diseases. They didn't like that. And she was Nancy Pelosi's daughter-in-law who didn't agree with some of the things the children's father were doing. So in order to silence her and to keep her from doing certain things, they took her children. It's something that they do, and they do it, or they were doing it very often. So let me see what else I wanted to say. I have to ask him what was the purpose of some of the things that he went through, but I guess it was just to keep him completely silent. There's a lot that he tells you not to trust. You know how we're a part of a movement where they tell you trust certain things and just know that things are being worked out. He said, no, you don't trust. You don't leave that in the hands of other people. You take your country back. That's why Dr. Kia Pruitt, I didn't understand people having a problem with the J6 issue. I don't know what that was about. I do know that there was a man that was dressed up in Native American garb with feathers and all that. And he put a flag down in the Capitol. And I think it was a totem pole or something like that. And I thought that was very symbolic. Now, the reason why I never had an issue with that is because the Capitol is called the People's House. Okay. And if there are people in the People's House that have staged a coup d'etat, then we, the people, according to the Constitution, and our republic, we have a lawful right to establish a militia and to go in there and drag them people out. So I don't understand the hoopla. I don't think President Trump told people to do it. I don't know. It's not even a concern of mine. But all those people that participated, well, likely, and they may have already been exonerated. But I don't know all the backstory. I'm just saying we have gotten so complacent and so comfortable in our lives that we allow certain things to continue and to happen. And many of us don't operate at the state level to pressure legislators. We don't operate at state level to help change laws, but we know it was that there's mafia in there too. More importantly, we're going to have to learn how to live, survive, and thrive as families and communities and as a whole society by uniting, loving each other, taking care of each other, supporting each other, and doing business with each other by bartering, or just by purchasing from one another. So I think that's the most important aspect of the book. I gave you the setting, the plot, the climax, the conclusion, the characters. The protagonist is John F. Kennedy Jr. The antagonist would be the deep state mafia, the cabal, who did some heinous things to him. What else? I told you about many different characters. Oh, he tells you about how he met characters that you heard of, world leaders. These were just everyday people to him, because he was a part of, the Kennedy family. He was a part of just that type of world. So there is an underworld, a world that we haven't seen and we know very little about, that's very dark, cruel, evil, and sinister, that he brings to light. So it is my great pleasure to bring this book to you. For those of you who haven't heard about it, and my great pleasure to introduce him when he comes on the platform. But I did want to give you some frame of reference before he came on and showed his face and told his story. So family, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I am going to read your comments. I just wanted to get all that out before I got to the comments. And let me know what you think in the comment section about all the things we discussed. And it doesn't bother me if you feel that this is true, or if you're concerned or it doesn't sound true. That doesn't bother me at all, because I know, I understand how these things work. We've been lied to so much, you don't know what is real and what isn't. So let me read some of your comments. Stay with us, family, because you might want to add to the discussion. Sarah says, I always assumed the public person John just took after his mother's side in looks, because he didn't look like JFK at all. Now I know why. And somebody asked me the question, did he address whether or not Jackie was his mother? Yes, he did. He addressed that in the book. I'm not going to tell you, though. I'm going to leave that for you to read in the book. I'm glad you're getting the book tomorrow. Tabby says, I'm very excited about this. I was told years ago with the groups that I'm involved in, once he shows his real identity and comes out, that this is a huge stack of cards that's going to set everything off. Yeah, and we keep hearing that JFK Jr. lives. He's going to be the vice president, and they're showing us the image of John. But who knows why this story is coming out? One part of me is like, are they trying to make us think that John is the real JFK Kennedy that lives, that staged his death? Or is somebody trying to drop comms that JFK Jr., the real JFK Jr., is about to come out? I don't know. And you need to know, while we're on the subject of John, the John F. Kennedy Jr. that was a body double, you need to know whether or not he faked his death or whether or not he's really gone. The book tells you. Thank you. I love you, Angela. Let's see. Let me know what you think about this information. Somebody says they're excited about this. We're very, very close. Robert Hamilton says the fake JFK Jr., I knew that he wasn't a real Kennedy. He didn't even look like Senior. Wow. Whereas the real JFK Jr. looks like his dad. The picture shows it. Isn't that something? You see it in the picture. Same thing that happened when I met Rena Houston Whitney's daughter. She showed me pictures of her young and pictures of Whitney. They look so much alike, and she even sounds like her mom. It's just, wow. It's mind blowing. But yes, he does look like his dad. Good day and big hugs. ICRO says, thank you so much. Michael Jackson. What are you saying about Michael Jackson? Oh, you saw it, Robert, when I put out the information? Thank you. You're welcome. Southern Era says, thank you for sharing. Ron Anthony is a very talented singer. My girl, yes, he is. Ron Anthony is going to come on the show sometime very soon. That man actually he was a part of an entertainment industry, but he wouldn't go that far. He wouldn't go and do those heinous things. He was approached by and met Diddy's producer, and Diddy's producer just rubbed him the wrong way. And Ron was like, look, I don't get down like that. I'm out. But the man can sing. He is such a phenomenal singer. Ron Anthony is an African-American Black man, also known to people call, Black, more indigenous African-American, who actually sang for the Ku Klux Klan. He's a profound singer, and he sang at different venues. And I don't even know how he was invited or I don't know how he got in there, but he sang at one of their events and became very good friends with some of the people there. That's how powerful his voice is and how God ordained he is. The real JFK Jr. is dead and in heaven, Mike says. Okay. So people are gullible. Yes, your internet will be probably interrupted when he comes on too. Oh, you saw the interview. So JFK Jr.'s name is called also David Keith Quigley. Somebody says he's the one that's going to be the vice president for Donald Trump. Thank you. That's the real JF Kennedy Jr. I don't know what a Sassoon is. My mom told me about the whole story about her marriage to be protected. Wow. Oh, so that's why Jackie Kennedy married. That's what I thought too. Aristotle Onassis, who was an oil billionaire. It's when you, thank you. When you straighten my hair, it's still very long. I cut some of it off because I wanted layers, right? When you stack it up high, and I had some dead ends, but also when it's straightened, it's still very long, reaches almost to my breast, but it's curly, and I have a headband on it. It's tied up and it's pushed up a little bit. So that's why I cut it, Jamez. Peace to you too. The story with the plane crash made me sad. Wait till you read what he says in the book about that plane crash. He was using unholy weird as well, and he was in movies like Six. Six Makes Egg Rolls. His name was Steel then. Wow. Thank you, Scat Pack. Hi, Arlene. Fascinating story. I agree. Absolutely. Hello, Immaculate Green Cleaning Company. It's always good to see you. Hi, Barbara. Stockholm Syndrome is very real. Blessings to you, Nancy. It's good to see you. Hi, TWW. Ivana, yes, he has to have some guardian angels protecting him. Scat Pat, y'all pay attention to what he says. Guardian angels, and somebody said hell's angels. That's very important as you read the book. Remember that. This is foreshadowing. Guardian angels and hell's angel. That's a little foreshadowing before you get the book. Russians. I always assumed the public persona John just took after his mother. I know, right? Oh, he went against the Vatican. John F. Kennedy Sr. did. I think of Kathy O'Brien as well. Did they do it to her as well? Good point. Khazarian mafia runs everything. They gotta go. Dynasties, they keep dynasties running in this country. Yes, all we want is the truth to come out. We deserve to know the truth. David refuses to take DNA test, TJ says. Serial killers are all connected. You believe anything and everything. That's sad. That is real life, not a movie. I feel bad for the people that believe this stuff. You don't have to. You don't have to just believe, choose to believe what you want, and then live and let live. People can believe what they want. Be careful because David refuses to take DNA. Is the fiat currency backed by gold now? We are operating in a gold back, asset back country right now. It just hasn't made mainstream media. Sopranos was the easy stuff. Oh, that show. October 2020, Trump Executive Order 13958 about Nassar and other things are coming out. All right. Everything you research is a lie. Mike, I don't know why you keep following me if you think that I'm so naive and I don't know what I'm talking about. But hey, it's a free country. So I hope you all enjoyed my summary and review of the book. As Felicia says, so many people have been abused, just like David Quigley, also known as John F. Kennedy Jr. What is the proof he's JFK Jr.? You can go to, we're going to have him on. I'm going to interview him, okay? But you can read his book and you can see whatever the proof that he gives and discern from that. You can also go to his TikTok channel. He is user, I have to look, 576-103-76-10195, or you can just go to TikTok and type in John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr., okay? So that may or may not be proof enough for you. All we can do is provide you with what we have. David refuses to take DNA. I don't know that to be so, but I thank you for telling us. TD Jakes has someone else's child. The mother wants that child back. Wow, Ivana. You know what? He talks about how there's a prominent pastor that was involved with the deep state. And I know a pastor or ex-pastor who told me that TD Jakes, before this news even came out, was involved in some nefarious things. But that's not hard to believe. It's very easy to believe when you see how connected these people are. You're not allowed to you don't start a church typically organically and get that type of notoriety and fame just by being some regular ordinary person. No, you have to participate in rituals. I'm talking about according to the deep state. You have to do certain things that are ungodly in order to keep your image, in order to keep your money. And a lot of them don't even have money. You'd be surprised how many of them don't have money, even though they are famous, because the mafia takes it from you and then they get rid of you. They started high school with sports. Who's trying to cover it up? They're so gullible people that will research it. Okay. Mike, I don't even know why you're here. Hi, Tyrese. Unbelievable. It is very sad. Show that book again. Okay, I found this on Rooting Around for a background program while I clean out a few things. This is what the book looks like. Stolen Identity. Let me, here you are, Leanne. Leanne, are we related? Your name's Pruitt. Stolen Identity, Unveiling the Real John Kennedy Jr. by John Kennedy Jr. Now, this is his story. You know, it's not about whether I believe or what I believe or not. I have a platform where I am giving people the opportunity to tell their story. The details in some of these stories are compelling. I agree, Ivana. You can find videos of SRA survivors talking about this type of stuff and how horrifying it is. Thank you, Sarah. Donald Marshall has said this before. He's also written many popular songs over the years. Thank you, Joe. We don't know the whole scope of this corruption that's going on all around the world, but God will expose it. Thank you, Mike. I agree. You remember finding John F. Kennedy Jr. on Telegram? He does make you wonder about a lot of things. I agree. This is the TikTok where John F. Kennedy Jr. was talking about his father and how he's working to help expose what his father tried to uncover. Robert says, I believe the man was an angel in human form that God had sent. Thank you, Robert. Wow. Don't trust TikTok, Arlene says. Thank you, Arlene. This is the time. This is the great awakening. And you don't know what to trust, what to believe. All you have, but it's good to hear different information, hear different people's stories, and then discern from there whether it's true or not. At the end of the day, we're all like flesh and blood, spiritual beings having human experiences in this flesh and blood body, trying to make it through, having these experiences to help us elevate. And while we're here, it's good to help each other, encourage each other, inspire each other, right? But what's real, what's not real, it's kind of hard to discern because we saw the movie The Truman Show. We don't know what these people are staging, but we do know that we hear a lot of compelling stories that sound a lot alike. Main question after seeing this, the resemblance is amazing and does make you go, but then who is the current JF Kennedy Jr. and does he think he is JF Kennedy Jr.? Is he a clone? Is he brainwashed? That's why I say read the book, because you'll get an idea of who he is and what happened to him. I'm talking about John. Let's see. Oh, you say you're talking to Rhea McDonald with all of the exposure coming forth. I'm hoping for that child Cora J took is giving back to his real mother soon. I haven't heard about that. Hi, Gigi. Rhea says, it's so good to see you all. I miss our morning crew. New video coming out today. Here it is. Courage puts it up. The link. Check out Ultra Maga Nation, only on Rumble. Please follow and turn on your notifications. Thank you. If you think with your heart, you'll know the truth. I like that scat pack. Absolutely. I love you too, Robert. We have to have an open mind, divine ascensions with Eva. Emma says, I agree. TD Jake's daughter who has taken another woman's daughter. Whoa. People are changing the subject. Why? This is so important. Trump is in on this. It's him. Now we have a fake of a fake potentially ready to come out as JFK Jr. This is a real mess. It's all very deep. We're just going to have to look through all this and see what's real and what's true. What is he? He doesn't talk about the RV. That's a question I can ask him during the interview, though. Thank you. Let me write that down. Thank you for that. Any questions you'd like for me to ask him? Just put it in the comment section. I can tell you right now, he doesn't trust everything the government says, but the RV, that's a good question. John Jr., aka David Quigley, has never been sued because the discovery would expose all of their crimes. Good point, Jody says. He's never been sued because the discovery would expose all their crimes. That's deep. Wow. It is a very good book, Gigi. Yes, it is. Gigi says, the Lord showed me a dream about Jakes, Benny Hinn, and other pastors from the Bahamas. Wow. Probably showed you all the things that in which they were involved. Jake the Snake, they're saying. Hello, JoJo. It's good to see you. Wow. The abuse of the children is the greatest crime committed against the children on this planet. Absolutely. The abuse of children is the reason why we have to take down these evil, wicked beings. And I just feel like the Creator has heard the cries of the children and decided to use people, use us to help bring down the people who have abused these children. It's heinous. When you're reading this book, you're like, how can you do that? Are you even human to do things you did to this man and to other children, women and men and their family members? Can you be flesh and blood to take out whole bloodlines, to sexually assault, to play a double agent, pretend like you're friends, to be married to these people and then turn on them and try to get rid of them? It's sick. He'll tell you, yes, how did JFK Jr. get from under MK Ultra? I'm going to ask him that in the interview, because he alludes to it, but that's a great question. So that people can know for certain, I'm going to ask him that question. From under. And it's good that he's coming out right now because the deep state is being taken down. But also this is coming on the heels of many Hollywood actors and actresses who have been coming on their platform and talking about being programmed, going through MK Ultra programming when they were a part of the Disney program. Like a lot of these stars came out as children participating in Walt Disney movies and stuff and these children shows. And some of them, when they became adults, started talking about being MK Ultra and going through butterfly programs and programs where their minds were shattered and being sexually abused and sodomized. So having those children, adult child stars talk about those stories, actually knowing why the Florida governor and President Trump has told Disney that they need to shut down, and how the governor of Florida told Disney that they can no longer have their own laws and their own government. When you see all this happening at the same time, you heard Isaac Cappy come out and talk about all the things that were going on in Hollywood, that laid the groundwork for this book. So by the time he came out and told his story, people have enough data to make a decision as to whether or not this is real or unreal to them. Because the thing about reality is it could be real for some and not real to the other, and it's still true, because everything's relative. Does he address his sister Caroline? Yes, he does in the book. And you have to ask him that question yourself. Is he scamming? He's not asking people for money. You can donate to him. The man let me tell you something about what happens when you go through these programming. I know from Rena, I know from Nancy Pelosi's daughter-in-law, I know from reading his book, is they will keep you in perpetual poverty. Every license you try to get, every credential you try to get, even if you get it, they'll take it away from you. They'll fire your boss, annihilate your boss. They'll take your money. They'll drain your bank accounts. You should know that from the entertainment industry. They've told you they'll shut off your black card. They will keep you living in perpetual poverty. So if somebody decides to send him something, they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart. He doesn't ask you, give me money. Scamming, how? If you decide to get the book and you buy it and it feeds him, then you're just doing business. But I don't think he's scamming. And if he is, don't participate. Right? I love you too, Sophie. Yes, thank you. If you get the book, you can get it the very next day, and get it when you can, as quickly as you can. You can also get it if you don't get it. If you don't get the paperback version, you can also get the other version. Right to Right says, Dr. Pruitt, please know you are loved and appreciated so very much. Ignore the trolls. Thank you, Right to Right. So let's go to the Amazon page. Oops, that's wrong. Here. Stolen Identity, Unveiling the Real JFK Jr., John Kennedy Jr. Paperback version is $19.99. You can get it tomorrow if you order it within 7 hours and 48 minutes. Or you can get the, what's the Kindle version? I don't see the Kindle version. Okay, I guess this is my page from where I ordered it. But there is a Kindle version. I believe there's a Kindle version. I don't know how much that is. So check and see if there's a Kindle. Oh, see all formats. What's this here? You hear my babies. So I thought there was a Kindle version. Maybe not. Oh, yes, the Kindle version. Can you see that? It's $9.99. I don't know if you can see that, family. The Kindle version over here is $9.99. The book version is $19.99. Thank you. So I'm not going to keep you on much longer, family. I've been on now for an hour and 30 minutes. People, please use discernment. Yes, use your discernment when you're reading or listening to anything. Ask him about Lasara Jasara. I will. Thank you. The book is on Amazon. Use your discernment. Did you hear that CC Houston is not Whitney's real mom? Oh, yes, I knew that. Thank you for saying that, real. Yes, she's not her real, she was a handler for Whitney. And we have an idea of who Whitney's real mom is. Whitney and I have talked about that a lot. Whitney, the Whitney's, Trump, who else? The Presleys, like a lot of them are related. But yes, I do know that Miss Houston is not her real mother. They getting on, love your information and dedication. Thank you, Mary Thomas. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Please ask him if he believes Trump exposes the traitors of our country by hiring them, first administration, and now by his rally locations and his call outs to specific people from the stage. I'll ask him, but when you read the book, Kentucky Girl, you're going to see what he thinks about who Donald Trump is. And yes, you will go down a deep rabbit hole. I don't even like using that terminology when I realize that what it's really alluding to is anal penetration. You go down a rabbit hole and you open up portals. That's what they were doing to get to the brain and fracture the brain. But yes, it is a rabbit hole. Thank you, Karen. Asking what is the situation in Haiti with the gold and iridium found there? Okay. Situation in Haiti with the gold and iridium. Thank you. So Sophie says, thank you for great news and information. Gigi asks, oh, you're talking to Ria. Okay. What'd you say? At Real McDowell, Elder Coleman is Cora J. ex-husband's uncle. You're welcome. Eagles Nest says, thank you. You are very welcome. Ria says, her mom was another singer. I saw a documentary on her real mom and who she is. Whitney looks just like her real mom. Yes, she does. But is Trump good? Mariana, you have to read the book and use your discernment, because remember, like, his frame of reference is from being in Hollywood, seeing people, seeing body doubles, seeing deaths and murders, knowing who did it, and having gone through all that type of trauma. He may have a different perspective on things, on whether a person is good or bad or who they really are. So read the book. I would ask you to do that and discern for yourself. Okay, I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to ruin it for you, Mariana. Identity theft is a crime. Absolutely. So like you said, he hasn't been sued because all the information through discovery would come out. What is the whole Trump thing? Is it a psyop? Is it a psyop? You know, you never know who's behind the scenes. Are they good guys? Are they bad guys? Are they using people for good or for wrong? All I know is that the seat in which Donald Trump sits, that is what was important. The office in which he sits is what's important. And I also know that God will use whomever he or she chooses to do whatever he and she chooses. I have my personal beliefs. I'm very grateful for what we're going through right now. I am a conservative. You know where I stand based on, my reports. At the same time, I will bring on people who challenges my ideology, and I'm okay with that. So good question, right to right. Wait till you read the book. Thank you for your impeccable research and always informing us. You're very appreciated. Thank you so much. You got me, Dr. Kia. Got to get that book. I read previews only. It is a very good, it's excellent, hands down the best book I've read, the best, because it gives me information. And so it gives me a frame of reference of what's going on now. It informs all of my views about the world, my views about entertainment, music, my views about government, all that. And it makes me even more sober. I've always been very serious, but it makes me even more sober as I live my life and decide where I'm going to move from now. And it's a good read. I told you, from a writer's perspective, it's phenomenal. From a reader's perspective, it's riveting. You actually feel what he's going through in the book. It's a great book. Thank you for all your good information. Pride, Heart, Rainbow, Philly. Thank you, Molly. And so I'm not voting. What would be the reason to vote if Trump has been unalived? I don't even think there will be an election in this year, November 2024. Why aren't they really talking about it? Why aren't there a lot of debates? They're even talking about now not having Biden as the contender, not even having Biden to go up against Trump. Like, and we know about the Brunson case. We know that the Supreme Court is fenced off and that they are going to make some major announcements. They even announced in mainstream media that the Supreme Court added an extra day called a decision day, where they decide on some things, some very major cases. We know that when Nancy Drew, who was doing live coverage of the Supreme Court being fenced off, when she asked workers, why is it being fenced off? They told her because major decisions and rulings are going to come out. So we know all this is about to happen. It's possible we won't even have an election. Yay, Gigi just ordered the book. Dr. Kia, they say the truthers may only know 20% of the truth. I think the other 80% may be a bit much for even a truther community. I agree, Sister Ria. Thank you so much for all your comments. I really appreciate that. I think I'd probably know. The more I read this book and the more I pondered on this book, the more I realized I don't know what I thought I knew. And I'm a researcher. Is that riveting? Yes. Chomping at the bit. Just ordered the book from Amazon. Good. Thank you. Even if you just read it for information. When I did the podcast, they asked me how would I categorize it. I categorized it as entertainment, because they will flag you if you try to say certain things that are against the deep state. So I said, look, this is just entertainment, because it is entertaining you. You think of entertaining, it's taking you along a journey and keeping you occupied with a story or a narrative that is separate from what you know. You forgot about that? No election. Yeah, probably be no election, Sister Gigi. I remember before 2016 coming across a short story of a person at some private party who told her Trump was the chosen winner in 2016. So question becomes, is it deep state or white hats in control? Thank you, Leanne Pruitt. Gov moves so slowly. Yeah, the government moves so slowly, it's ridiculous. And I think it's because you got good guys and bad guys fighting against each other. And of course, the bad guys, the mafia that controls everything, they don't want the information coming out. They don't want us to know the truth. My girl says Trump is already the president. No need for elections. You can Google me. Okay. What kind of doctor? I have a doctorate in education. No, I have a doctorate of philosophy in education and counseling psychology. But you can Google me and find out where I got my degrees. You can look at my dissertation, my research, and what subjects I'm an expert in. Just look up Dr. Kia Pruitt. You can look up dissertation. You can look up University of Louisville, Dr. Kia Pruitt. You see my credentials as a doctorate, as a doctoral. What is a doctorate, a PhD? Just purchased the book, Gigi said. Remember Christian W. Who was that? So how does he know his history if his family was fractured? Because he was told it before his family was fractured, because he was surrounded by people who knew his family. He had pictures, he had stories. His mother was alive, remember? When his dad was taken out. And Aristotle was his stepdad. Aristotle was the one who was protecting them. M. Gentry says, I support him on TikTok, and I believe him. Thank you. Wow, Dr. Kia, the book did that to your knowledge and research. It took it to a whole nother level. We live in a banana republic. Absolutely. You just ordered the book. All right. Thank you for putting this on our radar. You're welcome. So in my conclusion, family, this book is called Stolen Identity, Unveiling the Real John Kennedy Jr. It was written by John Kennedy Jr., who is still alive. He tells a brief description of his story, how he's the son of former President John Kennedy, how at the age of 9, he was placed in federal witness protection program and replaced by the man the world knew as John F. Kennedy Jr., who is actually George, known as John John. He was called John John as his agent name because he is a body double. He also in his book would tell you about how they talk in codes and actually drop in their codes and in their media what they're doing behind the scenes. Stolen Identity is the shocking true story of John F. Kennedy Jr., who was replaced at 9 by a body double nicknamed by the underworld as John John. While his replacement lived a life of privilege and luxury, the true heir to the Kennedy legacy struggled with adversity, poverty, and profound trauma. This gripping autobiography challenges the very foundations of readers' perceptions of the American government and the fate of the Kennedy family. After years of living in obscurity, the real John Kennedy Jr. is ready to unravel the long concealed truth about himself and his iconic family. He looks nothing like John John, the guy we heard died in a plane crash. Ask yourself if the real John John died in a plane crash. He will let you know that in the book. We live in a matrix, yes, in a Truman Show. The name of the book is called Stolen Identity. This is what it looks like. You can get it on Amazon for less than $20, or you can get it in the paperback version and less than $10 in the Kindle version. They did away with Kristen W. She had great intel. Oh, I remember who you're talking about. Yes. You'll read the book. Okay. You get the book Monday? Oh, Regina just received a book, Unreal, The Lies We've Been Told, Our Entire World. I pray he's protected. Thank you, Dr. Pruitt. Thank you, Regina, for ordering the book. Why does he cover his face partially with a hat? Hats leave a shadow when you put him on your head? I don't know. You have to ask him that. You don't believe that Kristen W. is dead? I remember her giving intel. Don't you think President Trump would know the truth? Yep. Wait till what he, yeah, President Trump knows the truth. I'll leave it at that. You got to read the book. All right, family, my family. I need to get back to my biological family. Dr. Kia, why does God allow his children to suffer and die like this? Good question. Why doesn't he just intervene and end this nonsense? Those are my questions. Exactly. Kristen W. was a truth teller, talked about the Playboy Mansion. She was a Playboy bunny. Wow. She died in a hospital in California. They said she died from COVID. I remember that now. Thank you for bringing that back to my remembrance. All right, family, that's it. Ask them about the Deep Space program. I have Kristen W.'s book. So glad I got it before her passing. I didn't know she wrote a book. Wow, thank you. You're welcome. Regina says, thank you for all you do, Dr. Pruitt. You are so many people's inspiration and you are so loved. That means a lot to me, family. If you are interested, thank you for seeing that in the book. Again, you can get the book on Amazon. It's called Stolen Identity, right here, written by John F. Kennedy Jr. Jackie Goldman is the co-writer and co-author with him. Go to Amazon, it will tell you about it, about the book. It tell you about the different versions, the Kindle version, and the paperback version. Also, you can follow him on TikTok. Somebody just said he was on Telegram. I didn't know that. But here is his TikTok channel. You can just go to TikTok and type in John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr., or you can type in user 5. This is his name on there, or his moniker, 576-103 761-0195. That's user 576-103 761-0195, or just go to TikTok and type in John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. and look for this face, not the fake one, or the other one, I should say. All right. So, family, I hope I've said something that is very encouraging, if not encouraging, entertaining, because I did say that this video would be entertaining. We don't want to get flagged again. And I hope that you were able to glean information from our soul family. Hi, Louisiana. Hi, Regina. She's from Louisiana. Here in the comment section, in the chat section. Sister Deity says, Dr. Kia, I've been following you for just a little over 7 months, and I'm grateful for your wealth of knowledge. Thank you. I've been in the know for quite a while, but I love how you delivered the message. Thank you, sister. I appreciate the affirmation, the kind words, the encouragement, and for the confirmation, because sometimes it's good just to have somebody else say, you know, I've researched some of the same things as you, Dr. Kia, and I've been in this community for a while, because it just feels good to feel supported. I love you too, Tammy. I love you very much. Rhea says, Christian wrote 2 books. She was supported. She was supposed to write a 3rd one. Wow. Oh, John F. Kennedy Jr. started a YouTube channel. Good for him. Ask him about the real Michael Jackson. There are also reports Michael died back in 79. Died 1979 to 1986. Thank you. I didn't know. I don't have TikTok. Is he on Telegram? Does anybody know if he's on Telegram? You watched all of her movies. She was a tranny, and related to some high up Chinese CCP. You know, that's some people were a lot. Some people are good that are in the truther community, and some people actually. And I just heard this again yesterday for confirmation. Some people are not good. I don't know anything about Kristen. Some people are not. Some people were a part of nefarious activities, and then they did certain things like come in the truther community in order to make money, get a big following, make money, and then at the right time they were taken out, or right time. That's what I've been hearing. Can you please have Empress Redbird on? Yes. Rod Hayes and I are working on that. Chief Pontiac are working on that. Amazon removed her book for sale. She said they cheated her from royalties, talking about Kristen W. There's so many things that we need to learn that we don't know about. YouTube should stop flagging us. We provide great content. That's all that they should be concerned about, right? And they're making money on our content. Confusing, since we saw so many pictures of the handsome JFK Jr. with some of his family. Wouldn't they have known this? Yeah, they know that they know that everybody was involved. John's family knew, JFK family knew, everybody at the highest level of government knew, all the entertainers and actors, they knew. They're all a part of the same mafia and secret society. John's family knew. They were complicit, whether willingly or unwillingly. And when you read this book, you'll learn how they can force you to agree with certain things. Thank you for 809 people being on the chat. Please like the video, whether you're on Rumble, or YouTube. If you're following me on, what else is there? Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, either of my Facebook accounts or LinkedIn, drop a comment in the comment section, share the video so we can get this message out, because whether we believe or know this to be true or not, this is indicative of what's really going on behind the scenes. I've had several testimonies about people being taken from people in politics and entertainment, and their children being taken away from them, their money being stolen, their wealth, their legacy being stolen. I've heard about trauma-based programs, MK Ultra Mind programming, and all that, and he covers it in great detail in his book. The real JFK Jr. looks just like his dad, Senior, JFK Senior. Yes, trying to be nice, just ordered the book. You saw the special on TV that JFK Senior faked his own death. Very well researched. Mafia was supposedly going to get him. Lots of information out there, people. God bless you, is what Gary says. We have all heard Michael Jackson put himself in a witness protection program. And we also heard that Dave, who was doing an interview with one of these high up, I can't think of the guy's name, was really Michael Jackson. Remember, I know they burned him. You remember that Pepsi commercial. If you're my age, if you're in your 50s, you remember the 40s or 50s, 60s, you remember that Pepsi commercial. His hair caught on fire and they actually damaged his whole face. Well, he came out later as a guy by the name of Dave, and he was interviewed by, talking about Michael Jackson. See, Dave, who was he interviewed by? Now, this is allegedly, because this story was out years ago. Dave said Michael Jackson was like a father to me. Oh, he was interviewed on Larry King Live. Let me see if I can show you this. I'm sorry for getting off topic just a little bit. I think people want to talk about some of the other actors and actresses. We should also ask them about more about Princess Diana. So speaking, let's see, of Michael Jackson. Can you all still hear me? Here is when Michael Jackson was interviewed by this guy, Larry King. Let me see if I can fast forward. That's him. People say, and that was the rumor that came out, that this was the real Michael Jackson. Yes, thank you. He was interviewed by Larry King. Yo, you guys are awesome. Yes. He sounded just like Michael. So let's see. Let me see if I can show you this. Okay. Hold on.
And Dave, yes, that's his name, Dave. He was David Rothenberg. He was set on fire in 1983, suffered, as you can see, terrible scars. Michael Jackson befriended him and paid for a lot of his surgeries. Dave is also attending the burial. Why Dave?
Well, to liberate myself from the confines of my father's criminality.
He caused the fire?
Yeah. He is a criminal, and he caused all this. To free myself of his name and his legacy, I decided to become my own person through changing my name.
We'll find out how Michael helped you, but Miko, is that a typical story of Michael?
Interesting. Somebody commented, Dave, just like they called John. Wow. Was he a double of some sort? Wow, these people are something else. So I'm just going to do a little bit more since somebody brought up Michael Jackson.
Helping people like this?
Absolutely. When he would hear about stories of people in need or needed help, and when we watched the news together, he'd reach out to them, send them a basket, send them a note, get well, or whatever the incident would be. And he'd always reach out to people and help people. Even driving around town, he'd stop and help people.
How did he find out about you, Dave?
He heard about me, and he had contacted me and wanted to meet me.
How old were you at the time?
I was about 7 years old at the time.
And were you in the hospital?
I was not in the hospital at the time. I was in interim, back and forth from surgery.
And what did he do for you?
Well, basically, he befriended me. He took me into his life, which is very rare for Michael to do. But he opened up his arms to me and accepted me as a very good friend of his. And throughout the years, he never let me go.
Well, I'll leave that in the description section for you all to see that. I just wanted to show you a little bit about that. You never know what's real, what's fake. They could have burned this man, and they could have put him up to tell his story. This is how evil these people are. It's just crazy. There's a rapper who also said that that was the real Michael Jackson. Wow. We're being short of bearded JFK Jr., who we are being told is, in fact, JFK Jr. He would be around 65, I think. Wow. Desert Mermaid says, thank you. Just absolutely wonderful and spot on. Looks like here they're just flipping the script, and we better follow along. That's what it does feel like that. Somebody says, watch out with this one. Okay, John looked a lot like his mother's father, and probably just like John F. Sr.'s father, who was a Libyan. Let's be really careful with this. That's why I say get the book, read it, and just, have it for information. Good point. Good points being made here. Yes, that's supposedly Michael Jackson without a mask, but showing his skin and how bad he was burned in a Pepsi commercial. Dave was burned in 1983. I remember that. Michael in 84. All right. Just ordered the book. Thank you, C. Venza. Thank you so much. Somebody says I should watch out for this one. I appreciate I really appreciate the warning. Not much shocks me anymore, but if this is true, it would be a huge shock and a serious disappointment. This whole thing reminds me of the Masked Singer. Everyone is wearing a mask. This is possibly the real hidden reason we had to wear a mask following COVID. Thank you, Gigi. Ask John if President Reagan was switched out in his second term after the shooting. Okay. in the second turn after the shooting. I will do that. This guy could be CIA PSYOP. That's why I say get the book and read it and even see what your thoughts are about it. Yeah, we have to use our own gifts of discernment. Masks are evil. Gigi, you just might be onto something. I say, yeah, let's look into it. So much will come out if these hidden famous people come out to tell their story, especially if there are so many at once. Yes. Michael's dad had him castrated to keep his high voice. I believe that could have happened. When I read this book and he tell you what they do to your private parts, it's disturbing. There's a 3-part series. So your book will arrive Monday, Chosen One says, I'm looking forward to reading it. That's outstanding. Regina says, I pray for unity and peace all around the world. We'll end with that, family. Let's unite together, support each other, encourage each other, lift each other up, and send positive energies to each other. We've been traumatized through movies, through music, through politics, through finances and economics, through the banking system. On every hand, we've been traumatized through rulings, Supreme Court rulings, and legislation. We have been traumatized and enslaved. So, when they ended slavery in 1865, they didn't really end slavery, the slavery of African Americans. They expanded slavery. They just did certain things to include everybody in that group as slaves. So we need to support each other and encourage each other because we are all in this together. We've all been enslaved together. We've all been mistreated. So let's do all we can to support each other. And even when we hear stories that may sound like something that challenges our perception of reality, let's still listen and use our own discernment. When we want to be empathic, because these things really happen to a lot of people. And people are coming out with their stories. So we're in a golden era. We're now at the time where a lot of things are going to be uncovered during the age of Aquarius. So just know this is also a time of disclosure. Some people are going to tell the truth. Some people are not going to tell the truth. Some people are going to embellish the truth. So we have to discern and decide for ourselves. But the only way you'll be able to discern is if you hear the information. Who knows? I'm thinking that instead of an election, we might get a revelation mask all off in a big reveal. Something is about to come out, which is why the Supreme Court is fenced off, why they add in the extra decision day. So what an exciting time to be alive. So sad what happens to these children. Absolutely. Have you heard of Deborah Jones? No. Cling to your family and love on them. That's right. Love is truly the answer. Love is going to end racism because when we make love to one another, you can't hate your own babies and grandbabies, right? Love is going to be what help us to unite and fight against the deep state. Love is going to help us unite and barter with each other and do business with each other. Love is going to raise the vibrations of the planet. So Leanne says, I love and thank you so much for this open discussion so we can speak our thoughts, send questions. They did expand slavery. We have been blinded to this reality. Jody says, dissolve trauma on humanity and give us God's perfect peace. Amen. Keep your fire coming, Dr. Pruitt. Thank you so much. Anthony, would you like to join this show and give us a closing prayer? I can send you a link. You often give us information. I just feel compelled to ask you that. Drop it in the comments section. That would be a great honor. Cling to your family. It's so good to be here. A great time to be alive. Love you and thank you. You're welcome. I want to be open because sometimes I get offended when people challenge me on certain things, even though I've done extensive research, but that's not the best way to go about it. The best way to go about it is for myself be open and say, hey, people have their own perception of things, and I don't know everything. As when I read this book, I came to find out I don't know a lot about a lot. So we have to have an open discussion so that we can hear all sides and make decisions for ourselves, having more information than what we know. So we need to dissolve trauma. Regina says, keep your fire coming, Dr. Pruitt. I hope when disclosure happens, everyone understands it was not us that created this evil. Right. Hamasi, excuse me, says John F.K. Jr. is still alive, according to Pascal. Oh, Najati, also Lady Diana's alive. I was working in the early hours when the news broke on Diana. I swear to God, I saw her walk and step up into an ambulance unaided. Wow. Love is everything, Regina says. TD Jakes has Michelle Loud's kids and she wants her son back. Y'all really hipping me to stuff I did not know. Gigi says, I had to get on my phone. My computer froze up and locked up and shut down. But for real, McDowell, yes, I wouldn't be surprised if they start revealing people on The Masked Singer. Diana had no visible signs of injury. They showed this clip 2 times and never again. Dr. Kia, I liked your video on something different. It was saucy. Sometimes we got to do it to them. Sister Rhea. Sometimes we got to give the people what they want, honey. A little sauciness, a little feminine energy, you know, a little seduction. Thank you, sister. I appreciate you so much. If y'all haven't seen that video, I did a video called Something Different. I entitled it Different. Then I changed it to you wouldn't believe what my doctor told me. And maybe I should change it back to something different. I sometimes don't how to title certain things. Well, let me show you that video right quick. Sister Rhea, thank you. Here it is. Should I send it back to something, when I say something different? Now I entitled it, You Wouldn't Believe What My Doctor Told Me. This is what it looks like. Let me show you the beginning. That's me with no makeup on, my hair. I talk about what my diagnosis the doctor gave me. It was a saucy one. It's for grown folk. Okay. Let me see. That's me. The front of that is me with my afro and the flower. I got my hair down and I go on. I'm doing my hair. We're talking about hair. And as we're talking about hair, I'm going on to talk about, oh, you don't see it, do you? Oh, yes, you do. I'm talking about things related to grown folk. So it was different. We weren't talking about geopolitics. We weren't talking about finances or economics. I just wanted to do something different. And here it is. So she enjoyed that video. Thank you, sister. I appreciate you. Okay, we've been on for a while. I haven't done a 2-hour video in a long time. Okay, he says he doesn't want to come on right now. That's okay, Anthony. Thank you for all of your information. Pascal, I believe Pascal is JFK Jr. Jr. wears many masks. You're welcome, Anthony. Dr. Kia, you're the best. I wouldn't worry about people trying to challenge who the mentor is. You're a true independent journalist. As a matter of fact, I think you're the best thing since Kristen W. That is such a nice thing to say. Thank you so very much. I am honored. I am very pleased. I'm humbled and I'm grateful for all of you listening and supporting me in the work that I do. Gigi says, thank you for introducing me to the currency community. You're welcome. Isn't that exciting when you find out this information about how, you know, the deep state has kept ways of us making money and being able to amass wealth for our families, to leave it for our legacy. And then you come upon this knowledge, you're like, what? This is what I can do. I'm in there. So it's my great pleasure. I'm using Google Voice to text, y'all. So there may be some garbled language that's not spelled correctly. Oh, that's okay. We know how they do. We know how they do. You remind me of me, Rhea says. Thank you, sister. I take that as a compliment. I am a reflection of you. Everything you see in me that resonates with you is a testament to who you are, how wonderful you are, how glorious, how beautiful, how joyous, and how amazing you are. That's the sister Rhea and all of you. Okay, I keep saying I'm about to get off. We get vitamin C in England. My diagnosis, yes, I talk about my diagnosis in that video. A lot of us are on vitamin D deficient. Watch the video, y'all. Y'all will get it. Y'all will get it. Thank you, Sister Rhea. I got to do something about that. We have to obey the doctor's orders, right, Sister Rhea? Okay, if they tell us what's going on and what we need to do, we're going to have to rectify the situation. We want to be medically compliant, and we don't want to go against the doctor's recommendations in this case. Gigi says, you're beautiful. Thank you so much. I was very out of the norm. It was out of a norm for me, right to right said, for me to do that video. And we enjoyed seeing the goddess within you. The doctor put me on Ozempic pen, and come to find out, I never had diabetes. I took it for 3 years. Whoa, Magentry, I'm sorry about that. Thank you. Arlene says you're awesome. Thank you. Did I see the video Nancy Kerner showed on YouTube from a rally DJT did November 26, 2018 of who was still alive sitting behind him in the seat? Yes, I did. I believe JFK knew the CIA wanted to kill him, so he staged his own death. Okay, I believe he placed himself in the witness protection program along with hundreds of others. Ask him about that. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Good question, Diane. Thank you. Peace, Sharif. It's good to see you here. Peace and blessings, King. Would you like to come on and say anything, Sharif? You know, you and I are in this community together and uplifting the people. Another bombshell is that Trump may actually be married to Diana. Yes, we've heard that. Take a close look at Barron and early pictures of Diana. Melania is from a Russian royalty, as it was a son who kidnapped or who escaped and not the princess. So many things they tell us. We don't know what's real, what isn't. Greatness. I know that's right. Ria says, it will forever change my future. Generational wealth. And yes. Could I ask him if he knows anything about ETs and if they're real and they're good or bad? I sure will. He addresses that very, very minimally, but he does have a section in this chapter about ETs that's actually titled ETs and his experience. You gotta follow the doctor's orders. Hi, Crystal. Good to see you. Does this guy have any contact with JFK Jr. and Trump? He had. I don't know if he does still now. Hi, Tamika Dye. Good to see you, sister. Can't right now, fixing stuff at the house, just listening. Okay. Hello, family. I heard Kristen W. was executed. Woo. Heard the Chinese came after her. You haven't seen me on Rumble because I was having so many problems connecting Rumble to my streaming platform. I was having for some time, but I was able to fix it. I apologize for that, Nancy. I'm glad to be back and glad to have you here. So that's it, family. I hope that you enjoyed the podcast for the day. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, whether you're on Rumble or YouTube. Share the video so we can get this information out that this gentleman, who is known as David Keith Quigley, says that his true identity is John Fitzgerald Kennedy, how his identity was stolen, and he's unveiling the real truth. He's coming out of obscurity, out of darkness, into the light. That is a statement that you will find is very, very important as you read this book. He gives just a brief synopsis of his story here. You can follow him on TikTok by just going to John Fitzgerald Jr. on TikTok. Many people here have already ordered the book. I love you too, Sister Gigi. You can order the book on Amazon, get the Kindle version for less than $10 at $9.99. You can get the paperback version at $19.99. It is an excellent read. We went over the different parts of the book, of how the language that was used in the book, was it fitting, how it was written. We talked about the setting, the energy of the book, what the plot, the characters, who the protagonists and antagonists, who they were, the climax and the conclusion of the book. And we've come to the conclusion that this is a phenomenal book that we all should read just to inform us of what type of things go on in the mafia, also known as the United States of America government. So, family, I do believe we will have a exchange of currencies to occur real soon. I just got a message earlier today that people are seeing wealth management centers spring up in their cities. And we know that we're supposed to go to wealth management center. I also published a while ago an article that said banks are closing and now focusing on wealth management. And I said in that podcast that they're focusing on wealth management for the wealthy because we're all about to be wealthy with the release of NASARA, the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, and the global version of that, the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. Those programs, the NASARA, JASARA, they were actually signed into law in 2000. They were supposed to come out from the Pentagon, the announcement on 9/11, 2001. However, even though Clinton signed it into law, forced to sign into law, we are told, this is the story, that we know that they blew up the towers. They took most of the gold out of the towers. They blew it up. They hit the Pentagon with whatever they hit it with so that the announcement didn't come from the Pentagon, and they stole the gold and it never happened. However, we're living in a time when the National Economic Security Reformation Act is happening right before our eyes. We see countries leaving the United States dollar. That's a part of NASARA. We see countries using gold. We see them issuing out their gold-backed currencies. We see state banks here in America actually saying we've disbanded from the Federal Reserve. And we saw the Supreme Court case that allowed them to do that. We see state banks saying we can issue out our own gold-backed currencies. We have our own charter. We make our own laws. We see states passing legislation to leave and not take money from the United States Department of Education. That's all NASARA, because anything that's federal or that's part of national or United States departments of anything that's attached to the United States Incorporated will be done away with. We know that it's done away with because we saw the bankruptcy papers. We've shown you the bankruptcy papers of the United States Incorporated. That is all NASARA. We've heard testimonies of people saying, I looked at my student loans. They're gone. They've been wiped out. My mortgage has been wiped out. My debt has been wiped out. That's all a part of NASARA. But we're all going to experience that. We're all going to have a debt jubilee. We're living right now during a jubilee season. Okay, remember Kim Clement, who was a prophet, prophesied Trump would be president. He also prophesied that spring would be very hot and summer, the transference of wealth will come before the summer. Okay, so here we are in the summer. We're expecting transference of wealth to occur right now during the season. We've seen legislation and bills be introduced to end the Fed. Bills come and be introduced to end the IRS. So all of this, the End the Fed Act, we saw the End the Fed day where the chair of the Federal Reserve came down with COVID and announced that he may step down. We've seen the chair of the FDIC step down, say he's stepping down. We've seen the chair of the World Economic Forum step down. This is all part of NASARA. Okay. And all these countries, 209 countries, making an agreement through Project Sandman to drop the United States dollar. That's NASARA. Saudi Arabia not renewing their agreement with the United States to trade oil for protection of the Saudi kingdom and us forcing everybody to get oil from Saudi Arabia. That whole agreement ending, that's NASARA. Seeing the videos that I put out on my shorts, my YouTube shorts, of leaders from Europe going all over to different African countries, kissing the feet of African leaders, begging for forgiveness. That is NASARA. What is that agreement called? The Berlin Conference. So the Berlin Conference, which was when Europe decided to divide Africa for themselves and steal all their wealth and resources and force them to speak their language, take their religion, take their education while they stole African resources. Again, they divided the continent, called the Berlin Conference. The end of that is here. That's why you see African countries saying we're going to use our own currencies. We saw Mali do that. We saw Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger all do that at one time. We're going to use our own military. We're kicking out the French, and we're going to use our own currencies. We're going to have our own military alliance. I've shown you videos on that. We saw Zimbabwe come up with their own gold-backed currencies. We see Nigeria right now. We say that their economy is one of the best performing economies on the continent of Africa. We saw Ghana talk about introducing their own gold coin. They're not on the gold standard officially yet, but we saw all this. That was the precursor to them joining BRICS. We see many nations, over 85% of the population. I showed you this in 2020. Over 85% of the global population had joined BRICS. It wasn't knowledge. It wasn't mainstream. Most people didn't know about it. I told you about that. And now we see the information trickling out. That's NASARA. We see silver and gold prices no longer being as suppressed as they had been. That's NASARA. So next, you're going to have some type of announcement, whether it's covert or overt, about all the stuff that's been happening. We're going to have trillions of dollars ejected into the global economy. Everybody's going to get something that's like a universal basic income, where you're going to have money in your global accounts. And we're going to have a revaluation of currencies. That has already really occurred. The revaluation is reinstating countries' currencies back to their normal lawful value based on the resources that each country has. That's already happening. That's NASARA. And then when that happens, officially all currencies will be one-to-one with each other. That's already happening. That is NASARA. We see over 46 states passing legislation to remove state sales tax from precious metals, from gold and silver. That's NESARA. They have to do that to make silver and gold legal tender, because that's an acknowledgement of silver and gold being lawful money according to our Constitution for our republic. We saw 33 states say they reject capital gain taxes on precious metals. We saw states say they reject central bank digital currencies, also known as CBDCs, that are controlled by the government, by the United States mafia, also known as the government. So those are the states that we know about. There are more that have done the same behind the scenes. That's NESARA. So you're going to have information and come out about all of that, family, and you're going to have money put into your quantum accounts, and then you'll be able, if you have currencies, to go and exchange those currencies and get a great return on those investments, and then you can do humanitarian projects. You're welcome. Aham Brahmasi, excuse me if I butchered your name, I apologize for that. Says, thank you for your contribution. You are very loved. I love you very much. Thank you. You guys are awesome. That's all. Somebody says, I'm experiencing sudden wealth syndrome, but I'm grateful to God. I'm just shocked how the Lord did it. Awesome. A lot is happening. Iraqi people are about to receive $4 million from their government. Who said that? Oh, wow. Rome? Okay, I went to the bank, and when they asked me if they could help me, I said no. Thank you for sending this here. Somebody put this in the comment section for us to check out. How do you find a state bank in your state? I'll research that for you. All right, family, that's it. I keep saying I'm going to go. Oh, you guys are still giving out information. Thank you. He did gold last time. They all chose the wrong thing. I think y'all talking to each other. Thank you. Oh, you're talking about Kristen W. So everything's going to be released suddenly. Thank you. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I trust and I hope that I said something, anything to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Have a very good night, family. I love you so much. And I hope I got all of your questions. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Take care and have a very, very lovely evening. Go out and make this a great day, family. Mwah. Thank you, Gigi. Peace, family. Good night.